we have such a small audience, we could forego the pledge. No, you don't do the pledge?
Do pledge.
All right.
I'm on vacation
Time
weekend, we
me.
get to do it every
Oh,
day.
yeah,
Be
you're on
consistent.
vacation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, tonight we have minutes to approve of February 10th meeting. We have to discuss and act on special town meeting warrant articles for the March 8th special town meeting. And we have the selectmen's item for the annual town report. First up is the minutes. Does anyone have any issues?
Yeah, actually, on the last page of the minutes. I know we voted for wording to be added to the personnel policy on inclement weather,
You did.
but I'm not sure that it included sick time. I thought it was personal or vacation time, if people felt they were not able to come in during a snowstorm or inclement weather.
Yeah, it was a personal day or vacation day. Because I don't think sick time is appropriate.
I have a comment also. On page 1, the last minutes from January 31st, it was Mr. Robinson that abstained and not me. I did abstain from the other 3 because I was not at those meetings, but.
On which one?
So if you could just swap that.
The
it was-
last one,
I
the
did
last
vote
set of
and
minutes
Ken
on
did
the
not.
Will you do me a favor and mark it on yours so I can just copy it after? I did
Yep.
print one for myself, and then I'll just change it after. So it was personal vacation, isn't it something else?
It said holiday, I don't think we voted, you know,
Do we have any floating holidays that you
Yes,
can
we
take
do.
whenever? or-
do we?
So if we
Oh,
do
just
have a
actually
floating
took one last
holiday,
week.
then I would
Okay.
think it should be eligible.
So just not sick time?
Yeah, just not sick. Talk about the floaters.
Yeah.
Straight sick.
And then the other comment I had was discuss open meeting law complaint. And it says that Mr. Bennett explained why he filed an open meeting law complaint against the rest of the board, and it wasn't against the rest of the board.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't the first one.
There's 3.
I looked at it after I sent the letter in.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll change that to, I'll have to figure out how I word that.
Right.
Yeah, I'll bring them back next week.
Okay.
For approval. I'll do
Yeah,
it.
all right.
I'll change it.
So
word
just,
that.
yeah.
Against.
And then I don't think Mr. Bennett voted on the action for the open meeting law complaint, because I don't think he participated
not.
in the discussion.
And then it says also in that section that we'll do the ethics course. Is that what we?
No, it
It's
was the open meeting law videos.
Right.
Yeah. I did mention ethics because I had to redo my notes.
It was videos,
Yeah, the open meeting law training videos.
so you just watch the videos?
Yeah,
Okay.
there's no test or anything.
Yeah, there's like 6 of them. It took me like 90 minutes.
And they're on the Attorney General's website, right?
They are.
Yeah.
Sure, I just took those.
Yeah, there's a list of links, like the open meeting law
Right,
guide.
so we'll
and
bring
all
these
that,
back
and
for-
it-
Yeah.
It's right on
Okay.
the,
So we're gonna table these till next Monday for approval? So
Oh,
Holly
we
can.
can do,
I should figure out how to word that.
Okay.
So.
let's see. Next item is,
Did we make a motion to approve the minutes of?
there was so many, she's gonna, we're gonna
Okay, so
post it
we're not
off till the
Okay.
next meeting, because there's so many changes.
Okay.
Okay, next thing is any public comment not about the things on the agenda.
Can I ask a question about some of the articles?
When we get to the articles, you can.
Well, my question was basically is, well, I'm trying to take a plan, the pre-town meeting, and I need some level of how many articles that you'll be discussing, and if it's really on for the 8th, so I can end up planning for the advisory board pre-town meeting. So, I mean, that's my question.
That's coming, the next agenda.
Okay. I hope you can answer those when you go through that, if you could, please.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, discuss and act on special town meeting warrant articles for March 8th, 2014. I shot an email to the town accountant. I didn't get anything back. I hope, and I was asking where, same old question, where we are on the books. And the reason was trying to find out when it'll be submitted to the DOR, to try to get an estimate, a time, or an idea of when we could have a certified free cash number. Because if we don't have that number, then we're going to town meeting without that special town meeting without certified free cash number. And that takes an option, I believe, off the table. At least, there's an article here to cover, to appropriate from things, but if if they don't have a number, I don't know. I don't know if they're gonna, if they'll be upset, why are you having a meeting when you don't have that number for us?
Yeah.
So I guess the first thing, and once we post the warrant, then we have to have the meeting, even if we just go there and pass on all the things, just so we don't have to do anything, but we would still have the expense and we still have to have the meeting.
Mhm.
If we don't post the warrant, we can cancel that special town meeting. I sent an email to town council about, just to show them the articles and put that in there. Haven't heard back from him. And the town administrator will not be here until Monday. He has a personal thing to take care of this week, so I guess that would be the first question. Do we want to proceed and have scheduled a special town meeting without knowing if we're going to have certified free cash, or gamble and hope we have it?
So do we have no idea what the status is? I know that I had read that email from the accountant regarding Matt Angel, and that was probably maybe 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago. And I don't know as if we've discussed it since, although no, I shouldn't say that because I did miss one meeting on the 31st. So, do we know how close we are to?
Matt Angel was here at our last selectmen's meeting, and I spoke to him before the meeting, and he said he was staying and he was working until that part was done. And that is the cash book reconciliation and all the little entries and things that he had to fix and adjust from the treasurer's side. So now it's, the accountant has to do, and he has a number of things to do. But
And after the accountant and Matt Angel get done with it, then they submit it to the DOR.
Oh, right, I understand
Yeah.
the
For
process, but.
certification,
Right.
so it's not like they're gonna jump through hoops.
How long does that take, Julie?
It can take
Depends on
anywhere
how
from a week to 2 months.
Oh.
If there's a lot of going back and forth, if there are entries that are made that the DOR disagrees with, then they have to readjust. So.
I think
don't know
Winchendon,
what they're gonna find.
they got DOR, I think it was a couple of days, because they had their meeting on the 30th, and then their tax rate was set, like, they was in favor after 2 years, so. But then again, it's, you know, if there's anything that has been entered or they have a question on, then they're gonna, the DOR will go back and forth.
Do you know how far we are from the process at which they can even submit?
Like I said, I shot an email to Fred Apani, the town accountant, and when I left the house, I hadn't heard anything back.
Can I speak?
Sure, just Frank,
I think we're taking a gamble, going to town meeting floor and just putting forth these articles and still standing up there and saying that we have no free cash amount. I mean, these are overrides, correct? Override, $5,000 less, or, I'm not completely clear on what the bottom one is, I'm sorry, but we have no answers for the residents. That's what I feel like. I mean, am I wrong in that?
We have an override possibility, and we have transfers out of the existing budget.
And
But
cuts.
But the free cash, and we have 100,000 stabilization. But the free cash is, that's an option we don't have. I mean, because we don't have a number to tell them, you know, it's
And
all
if-
covered by that, or half of it's covered by that, or.
Right, that's why
we
I'm
won't
saying
have a
we're
number.
gonna go to town meeting floor and say, these are your only options, and I'm really sorry, but it's not finished, we don't have a free cash number, we haven't gotten that information, and it's 2 weeks from now. So, I mean, if the people don't want an override and we say no to this, then we have to have another meeting, or, you know, we're just, you know, they don't wanna make cuts, but yet they don't want an override, so what do you do with that? What do you do then? So we have no other option, correct?
Well, we could have a special town meeting within the annual town meeting.
But by then, we probably, are we gonna run out of money? Where we have to shut down. And then we still, instead of making cuts, we're gonna say to them, I'm sorry, you can't work right now. I mean, that's not a viable option either.
I mean, was there some reason we couldn't do the 22nd? Maybe it might be more appropriate for us to put it off to the 22nd.
But then you still have the posting, it has to be open for 28 days.
That's right.
According to our bylaw, it's 14, and then by law, that's why we're meeting tonight to post, to see if we want to
Yeah.
post. Then we'll make the 14-day Mass General Law requirement to post.
Which is
You know, one other
Thursday,
option we could do is a different special town meeting in May, like do it on the 10th, not at the same, like, I think we're planning on the 17th.
in the 18th.
Yeah.
It was a
I forget.
Saturday.
It was a Saturday. So-
Yeah,
Yeah, that sounds like the right
Yeah,
date. I wrote it down somewhere.
yeah,
but-
it's the
It's the
17th.
17th because Memorial Day and something else.
Right. I think, looking at what we have and what we've budgeted, I think we could get through till May 10th to have a special town meeting on the 10th and then do the annual on the 17th.
By then, we should have answers, correct? And then to maybe be able to educate our townspeople a little bit more about what their options are. I had spoken to Bob Markle, or doing another, even just one town hall, or do a video, which his hasn't been in, so I haven't been able to finish that discussion, where we would go and we would set up the Kiva and the kids could tape, and then some of the selectmen could come, or we would post that it's a meeting. And, you know, we'd do that whole thing, and then it could be broadcast, you know, but we don't have enough answers to be able to tell anyone,
Right.
is my opinion. So, I mean, again, coming to him with that is not an option at the moment, I feel like.
We don't have anything to really hand out or to try to educate
Right,
people
right.
what we're advocating, you know?
Right.
It's, you know, I don't see us being able to do that.
I do know, well, I looked at the budget, the actual one, I hope it's correct. There's 170,000, give or take, in the communication salary account, I think.
The police.
In
Whose
the
salary
the
account?
dispatcher salary, I think.
But there was transfers made out of there that they just posted, because we made transfers at a special town meeting, and they just posted them last week. I brought it to Kate's attention that I
Yeah.
transferred $60,000 out of that, it never got posted until last week, 60-something.
Well, that's why I looked at the budget to actual.
So that would not, I would say is about 95-ish in there now. There will be a little surplus in there because we had a dispatcher that was activated that we didn't pay, and I didn't fill it.
Well, and something else too, that if we're seriously considering an override being part of the solution, we would have to fit in the timeline for when the ballot, because obviously if that was going to be part of the solution, the ballot would have to pass also before we run out of money.
And that's still.
So if we held the meeting on the 10th, then it would seem that we would have to, I guess in April, hold the.
Well, we could do it, we could put a ballot question on for an override. You can do it before or after the town meeting vote. So we could put it on the ballot for the, what is it, May 6th election?
May 6th election, I think.
Oh, yeah.
That could be,
So we could-
could be put
yeah.
on. the
Yeah,
ballot.
timing will be critical.
And then you do it on the 6th and then have the 10th. And, well, actually, you know what, you know after the election, if it fails at the election, well, then the only other thing you can do is see if it passes at the town meeting.
And then do it again.
Which it traditionally, they usually pass at town meeting and then fail at the ballot.
But we would likely run out of money though before we would have the time to, I mean, if we waited till after the May, we'd be in, well, maybe, I mean, we'd be into the beginning of June before we
Right,
could.
but we should have the free cash number for the special town meeting if we choose to do that on the 10th.
So we'd never have this backup option, I guess.
Well, it'll be up to the townspeople, you know.
And I know Bob Markley, he looked over the budget and stuff, and his conclusion was, you're not gonna do it by budget cuts.
There's no place to cut.
But there's, plus, well, yeah, there's,
Well, there is, but I haven't seen all the budgets yet that have come back, because I had asked for that impact statement. Also, I did read a couple of them, but, okay, so let's just think about the last couple of days of snowstorms. And they're obviously short people, and the more it snows, I mean, it's just not a good position to be in. I think Alan Mayo is suffering. I think that, you know, he would have had more help with that. I mean, and then if you cut the police and you cut the fire and then they can't earn additional revenue, and we're crippling them. Crippling, that's my opinion. We're gonna be crippled. So,
Perhaps what we should be asking the departments is, rather than, cutting, tell us what, of the budget that you have, what could you turn back for us to use?
right, I think that's in their list of, but again, we haven't seen all that come back, and that would be nice to educate the townspeople with too. It's not even educating, it's just informing them. This is what would happen if we had to do all these cuts. This is what happens if we have an override. This is how much it would add to your tax base if we use free cash. What happens next year? Because I thought somebody had said if we use it this year, next year it's gonna be even worse, because we'll have nothing.
Well,
So,
right.
so it's
free
not just an
cash is-
impact for
right.
1 year, it's
Right.
what will happen next year.
Free cash is a number that's always fluid. It's
Mhm.
not, that's why you shouldn't use it
Right.
to supplement your operating budget.
because
And I-
1 year
I-
it can be. okay.
One year it was like almost 800,000 and the next it was like 2.
Right.
That you have that kind of fluctuation. So if you build in 800,000 of free cash
Right,
into
and
your
we-
O and
right.
M, to pay for salaries and increases and stuff, you've already dug the hole. So the other thing is with snow and ice, that comes off of next year's free
Right.
cash.
Right,
Okay, so
right, and we're already spending in a deficit, correct?
Yes.
I assume.
So, again, we just have to tell the townspeople that, like, whoa, we have free cash, but that's not really how it works, so.
Yeah,
And also, I think too, part of, assuming what Bob was taking into account is because if the meeting's, March, till we get to the point where we could have an election, for an override or any other option, we're so far into the fiscal year that short of shutting down everything, like you can't cut $500,000 when you're 10 months into, into the year, because it would just be
The
impossible.
budget was so tight
Right.
to start with.
Right.
There was,
Because even if we shut down, we still have fixed costs that we can't,
yeah.
that we
Right.
have to pay, so,
On the plus side, I talked to the assessor today, the deputy assessor, and the excise tax bills went out. And it was quite a chunk of money. I think she said it was in the $700,000 range, but. So,
You see, but also to get back to free cash, if we pursue using tallage to do the tax titles,
Yeah,
that money, if it really is a month or 2-month turnaround, and we do it before June 30th, that would be available for next year's free cash as well.
right, and that's something we need to act on rather quickly too, right?
Yeah.
So that they could get going on that. But there was some research that was being done on that, correct?
Right. I believe we probably won't know until Monday to get
Next.
an update.
Okay, well,
yeah, so,
Just as a point of reference, last year, it was submitted to the DOR around the end of February, beginning of March, and we didn't know what the free cash was until just before town meeting. I mean, that's how close it was.
town meeting was in May, correct?
That's correct. So you're talking, and the assumption is that they had a lot of questions that had to be answered before they could certify that. And even then, they didn't get all their answers answered, the questions that they had, and they would only certify the 100,000 last year.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it really came down to. So that's, I'm telling you that as a point of reference to help you make that decision, because that's really important to understand that that could actually happen again.
because the DOI didn't accept a couple things that were submitted.
There was a number of things, yeah.
And they just took it, money, took it off the top, so.
Right, and there was quite a bit of back and forth, and then they didn't accept some stuff, so that's the only thing that they would certify is the 100,000.
And there are 9 other towns that are in the position Templeton's in that haven't set their tax rate.
There was some that was even later than us, so that was,
I mean, like right now, there are 9 other towns that
oh,
are
yeah.
doing the same thing we're doing.
Well, perhaps what we should do then maybe is, rather than trying to expect that we're gonna get free cash to help solve this problem, perhaps we should be just trying to present to the people that we need to do the override for 505. Explain to them, through whatever means, the video or, town meeting or town hall meetings, the problem with trying to use the free cash and the fact that we don't know what the free cash is, and go to the level of explaining, 505,000, yes, it's a big number, but that's only like, 75 cents on your tax rate. Your average homeowner is gonna make, it's gonna cost you, X number of dollars a month. So that they can get the numbers in something that's more realistic. And maybe that's what we ought to be pursuing and not trying to use this free cash so that we start in the hole next year. Since we already know we're deficit spending on snow and ice, we gotta have money to make up that next year.
We have to use the 2013 free cash, we have until June 30th. And otherwise, we won't have access to that money for a year. I asked a question to town accountant in reference to an email thread from the DOR. And that's what Deb Wagner said. If you don't use fiscal 13 free cash, you have access to it until June 30th, 2014, the end of the fiscal year. And if you don't use it, it's not certified, you don't use it, it disappears for another year.
So what I would suggest, if we do choose to pursue the override method, then in our special town meeting in May, whether that's the 10th or inside the annual on the 17th, we'll know what the free cash is by then. And we put that in stabilization so that at least we have it to start and available to us in 14 or 15, I guess.
Okay, and I wrote put two different amounts for the override question. One was 500 and one was 505. I left that 477 off because I figured we can find that a little bit in the budget, and I think we can find $5,000 just for for a round number.
So I think asking for the even 5 would be good.
So we can skip. Well, So, do we postpone the meeting or do we schedule it? Because once we post the warrant, we have to hold it.
And how much does it cost for us to hold
A special town meeting?
yeah, to just, well, if-
Let's see, town council would be there.
mhm.
Checkers.
That's between 2,500 and 3,500. It has been in the past.
Okay.
It could be a little less.
And we would not have the town meeting because we know what the free cash amount is, or, because I think, you know, too, I'm still of the belief, just like what Doug said, we should not be using that. My point was is that it's, we can vote what we want up here, but in the end, it's about the townspeople. And not, if they don't want those options, then what happens at that point? So if we're forward thinking, like, are we have to make all those cuts, and are we gonna have like an overhead projector where we can show what the budget cuts could possibly be and their impact statement? And I'm fine with going ahead with the meeting. I mean, I would say yes. I mean, if those are the options, then those are the options. It's just thinking out loud.
So, but I mean, yeah, we can have an override article, and the article to make adjustments to get the 5,477 to transfer from 90s. And then I believe number 4 covers the transfer from available funds is like free cash.
And that would cover
That
if
would
we
be
did have
Stabilization.
some other,
Yeah.
so we could at least present that.
Because we could ask for the override, we could do the transfers, if we get the departments to tell us how much are you gonna have that you would be able to turn back.
Yeah.
Do all of those transfers to somewhere. Then we've got that, because we won't be able to use, even if it passes at the town meeting, we still have to go to the ballot before you can
Correct.
appropriate any of that.
But at least then, timing for a ballot question would be a little bit sooner than if we waited.
I think it would probably be May 6th.
Instead of
Right.
waiting till May something to have the meeting and then, then having to wait even longer to go to, and we would just know right then and there.
Right.
And again, we might know more about the tax title by this time, in 2 weeks, whether or not we are moving forward with that, correct? So there are some other options that we could present to the residents.
Right, the tax title won't be available until the 15th. FY.
Right, but at least we would know if we were gonna pursue that option by then, right? Within the next 2 weeks, and will we
We
have
should.
that research done, and that should already be an agenda item for the next meeting, correct? For our next Board of Selectmen
Right.
meeting? Okay.
Okay. A motion to either to have the special town meeting or postpone it.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, one other option that we talked at the advisory board, and I want to pass this along to you, is that we talked that the fact that if we go for an override, it might be a little more palatable to have some level of cuts in the budget and also an override, so you're not going for the entire amount for the override, but you have some cuts, so you have a combination. And I didn't hear that as one of the options, and I think that's one of the things that we discussed at the advisory board would be something that we would end up doing.
Yeah, that's a good point. If we could get down to a number that we believe the departments would be able to turn back, and then reduce this 500 by that, and explain to the people that we're doing, 100,000 in cuts, so we're gonna ask for a 400,000. I even support taking some of the stabilization money, even though we're not trying to use the free cash, at least if we used a portion of the stabilization. Again, I think the override to be successful, it's got to get broken down into everyday numbers.
Okay, so we have a
I make a motion to move forward with the special town meeting with the warrant articles as presented for March 8th, 2014, what, how do you say that, 2014? I just lost myself there.
All right, a motion to have the special town meeting. Is there a second?
Yeah, second that.
All right.
We need to eliminate either one or two. I don't think we should have them both on there.
Motion made and seconded. Julie?
Come back to me. I'm still thinking on it. You go back.
Doug?
Yeah, I mean, if there's no other time we could do it. Yeah, I'll say yes.
Diane?
Yes.
Ken?
I say no.
I'm gonna say no.
And I stick with my original opinion of waiting for certified free cash to say no. I know we can go with the override, we could go with an override of 500, we could go with a lower override of, we know we have stabilization money, we have some funds in the dispatch salary, and we can probably, I know we can get 5,477, so we could probably come up with a couple $100,000 in outside of an override, so an override of about 300,000 or so, and that would be an option, but if they, we don't want to override, what about free cash, where's that number? We don't have an option to get, even use part of it. Some free cash, some of stabilization, some of salary transfer, some of an override. I mean, it would be a little bit of each.
I agree. I think it needs to be a combination of cuts, override, and use of available funds.
Once we post, like I said, once we post this, we have to have it, whether we, there's no motion of everything fails. If they say no, because they're mad because they don't have the stabilization, no, I mean, a certified free cash number. Taxpayers are mad, you don't have that option for them, they just say no to everything.
Yeah, but the longer we wait, we're more limiting our options on ability to cut.
And I think we're already, maybe already there, yes.
I think that to agree with you, what my concern would be is that people are angry to varying degrees, and that if we, I think part of the reason the last override passed is kind of based on this faith that we could, as a total town administration, not necessarily as a board, handle that we were going to do a better job of handling that money, and not saying that we did or did not, but the fact that we are again asking for another $500,000 less than 6 months after doesn't really give the impression, whether rightly or wrongly, that is the case. So I think that if we go to, and my reason for voting no is if we go there and we say that we don't even know how last year's final numbers, that that the chances of them saying, oh, sure, we'll give you another $500,000, we'll trust it'll, this won't happen again in 6 months, I think that it would be almost impossible to, even a town meeting, to get it to pass but at least if we have all the concrete figures, we can really come to them with, this is a plan that we have to resolve this issue.
And I would also state that I do think we need to put an override question on the ballot for May 6th. We would have a much better idea by that point in time when we have the deadline to put that question on. We would have firmer numbers. We've got to have firmer numbers.
Thursday was the 14-day deadline for that meeting, so.
I'll put this, any objections to put discussion, special town meeting thing on Monday's meeting? Or, I don't know what we can find out, but at least I could shoot an email to Bob, Marco, and Emily.
This coming Monday?
Yeah,
I'm hoping that we'll have all the budgets by this coming Monday.
so.
I would imagine, and I would hope that by Monday, we would have an answer from the accountant as to what is exactly going on. Why are our books not finished? When are we gonna have free cash? When are we gonna, I mean, every time we come to a meeting and we say this, we have an email that says another 2 weeks, another 2 weeks. It's out of control. So we have to have that, like, sooner rather than later. I mean, at least making the motion, we got to, say yay or nay, but I don't disagree whether we have the meeting or not have the meeting, but we need answers for the public. So, as long as those things are on the agenda for Monday, and we can have them, everybody's budget along with their impact statement, along with an answer from the accountant. Concrete. That's good.
I'll come down in the morning, or with the.
I'm totally confused about that vote, though. That was no for you. So we're
It's-
canceling it, or we're just?
Yeah, it's just not
Okay.
passed.
All right.
Yeah. Okay, so an answer from the accountant.
Budgets
Hopefully we
with
have all the
Everyone's
things
budgets
back.
with their impact statement, yep. I know a couple of them have come back, I forget which ones.
I think we
but
just
Unless
have two.
Bob, was that the only two that I
I've
got like
two.
so many
Yeah.
emails.
I know.
I thought I had only seen two, but I didn't
Right.
print anything, but wherever I saved them,
I
they
think
didn't
Dave,
save,
the
so.
fire chief, I think, had.
Yes, the
Highway.
fire chief, and maybe it was
Highway.
Bethany?
Highway.
Okay, highway.
Yeah, I saw the highway.
I don't know if that came with a statement though, or it was just the budget. I don't think that came with statements, so, but yeah.
Okay.
And then to talk about also, how are we gonna have like a town hall meeting? Are we going to, could we discuss that on Monday also? About the idea of having a meeting in the Kiva and taping it, so it can be watched.
Does it have to be in the Kiva? Because we didn't have that many people show up.
The town hall meeting?
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
If
you
we
had a
could
couple.
do it here.
Yes, for me,
Okay.
yeah. And I think that I would like to capture more people, and that's where people hang out, is at the school. So if we could do a little bit more upfront groundwork with that and advertising it.
Town hall meetings.
I mean, if we could come up with a date, can have Bethany put it in the COA newsletter. I
Yeah,
don't know
but
if the
first
school sends something
right,
home
we have to
regularly.
decide on a date for the special town
Put it
meeting,
on the
and then.
TV channel.
Yep, yep.
Let's see, the May 10th, maybe. March. It's the 29th of March, anything?
The 29th March is a Saturday.
Is the what?
A Saturday,
Yeah.
March 29th. Are you looking at April or?
I'll just look at the calendar over
Okay.
the weekend. Okay, if you could notify the school, Paul.
What, that is canceled?
Yes,
Yeah.
please. And the town clerk.
Okay.
Okay. Now somewhere. Did I send electronic copy to everyone?
Yeah.
You did.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's on the statement.
Yep.
Is there any additions to that? I did that rather quickly. So on the Board of Selectmen report for the annual town report was that good? Fine.
That's fine.
Like I said, I did send an email to Paul if we could have town council report, any outstanding lawsuits or any of that stuff. So we go on right after this one, as it usually does. So we're good with this one? Okay. All right. Done.
Do you need a motion? Or no? Is it just, we're okay with it and they
Yeah,
can
we
just
don't
go?
usually vote on the report, it's just something that's submitted.
We just submit
I just wanted to make
Okay.
sure if anybody had anything they wanted to add.
I was just curious.
Or in case it was drastically screwed up. Okay. Any selectmen have any additional agenda items other than the ones we already covered?
My only concern, I know that we had mentioned the accountant, if it would be also wise to have the treasurer, I'm trying to think of any other, maybe just the treasurer as well, my concern, I mean, is that we are going to be in this exact same position again next year, because last year we said we weren't, and then here we are, and I understand that things happen, but we need to prepare for those things. The interest that we are going to be paying on our short-term borrowing, and that was another question I had, sorry, I meant to bring up during that discussion, was how far our short-term borrowing covers us, the loan that we took out. I don't know, do we have like a calendar date?
It's no more than a year, right?
No, it's, you mean for the tax anticipation?
Right,
Yeah.
the tax
It's
anticipation
due
note.
May 15th.
So if we don't have our tax rate set and out and tax bills back paid in,
That's a problem.
right, so
I'm almost certain it's May 15th. I have to confirm that.
can we
It's
take
either
out,
May 15th, I'll go tell you right now.
can we take out another TAN or no, that's it?
It can't be, I don't think it can be a TAN, but we may be able to borrow some other money.
Yeah, so we need to make sure that we, and
Treasurer, it's only twice.
right, so I think that we need to talk to, and now would be a great time, because as the problems with this year's process are fresh, we can address them as well to make sure that we are not again in this position last year, or next year, excuse me. Because I remember being here at meetings and when the tax rate wasn't set and hearing that we're not going to let this happen again next year. And again, things arise, but we have to be proactive instead of reactionary.
the one good thing is everything will be into the beta.
And they're, right, I mean,
So
Do we
there'll be
know
one
where we
less
stand right now for this current year?
For
Are we-
14?
no, that'll be part of, oh,
That's gonna be next Monday's discussion? Okay, fine. So are you asking for the treasurer to be here also on Monday? Is that what you're saying?
Right, I would think
I
that
wanna
would be,
clear.
as part of the accountant being here, I think that it may be helpful to have kind of the full-time financial team here to kind of understand where exactly we are. Just because, as Diane said, we heard that it's going to be the end of the month, now since December, so we're going to be in March in a week and a half.
Clarification, please.
Yes.
Are you, do you want the treasurer and accountant present next Monday so that we can discuss the FY13
Both.
closing of the books or the FY14 current situation?
Both.
I would
It's
think
both.
both would be,
It would be both.
Who's gonna tell Fred or ask Fred?
I'll send an email. Hopefully I'll have a response, because I asked that, I sent him an email with that question every Monday. Today it was Tuesday, but where are we, And
even if he can't be here because of the short notice, if he could even just provide
Email.
an email to everyone that says exactly where we are.
I'll ask for both.
Thank you.
Says no.
Julie, did you have an opportunity to go through your stuff for the personnel policy stuff, or is what's on the, I think you might have emailed me something, Holly, and again, I uploaded it to here and it's not
Yeah.
showing up, so I can't even tell you what I have, but I wasn't sure. You
I
had sent
haven't
me
yet,
an email
but
and said.
I'm going to.
Okay, because maybe, all right.
Because
I
I
just
got
wanted
it from
to
Holly and she said, oh, she found it, so I'm like, oh, cool, all right.
I just didn't know if you had anything different,
I
that's.
have many versions, so
okay.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I
just
think I
kinda
have
wanted
the
to
newest
compare
one.
them. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the last
I'll
time
bring-
was September, was the last revision, I think. Well, unless you did something last year when I wasn't.
Yeah.
Okay. Any comments or
I
anything?
do. On Monday, February 24th at 1 o'clock at Greenfield Community College, there'll be the first annual community conference hosted by the Opiate Education and Awareness Task Force to try to come up with some ideas and solutions to the heroin and opiate problem that we have in our communities.
Doug?
The only thing I want to mention is immediately after this meeting is the capital planning meeting, and our CPC application for East Templeton is part of the discussion for tonight. So I think I can address the committee's questions and things, but if any other board members would like to stay, you're more than welcome to.
Diane?
Oh, no, I don't have anything else. Sorry, I was like listening to Doug going, oh, did you want me to, okay, never mind. I'm
Okay,
good.
I space out a lot.
Oh, and there was no, because of the weather, there was no school budget subcommittee meeting last week, so I don't have any update on this one.
Okay. All right, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. Thanks, Julie.
Julie?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
Yes.
Shortest meeting ever.
I missed all that. Who first? You were the first.